Hello everyone, look what's back. It's my favorite bike, the stock car. Yep, I loved this bike. This one's a challenge for me all the time. It makes me stretch my boundaries, that is for sure. So what's going on with it today? Well, the brakes went out. The guy was riding it, wasn't overkilling it or anything, he was just riding it. And he went to hit the front brake and the brakes had gone. They were gone. So he did some diagnosis. He thought that one of the tubes up here in the front were leaking. He replaced some parts, flushed out the brakes, got the brakes back, but as soon as he started the bike and started riding it again, the brakes just immediately went away and it leaked out again. So it is here to find out why. So the first thing I'm going to do is take this panel off and have a look at the ABS pump, which is located right about here, and see if there's an obvious leak or something that's going wrong here. But before I get started on this, just want to thank all of you guys for liking and subscribing to this channel. I'm getting close, getting ever so close to 25,000 subscribers, and that's nice to see. So if you can please help propel that along by subscribing, that would be amazing. Also, if you would like to help out in supporting this channel financially, you can do so through the links that are right down in the description below, through Patreon or by purchasing some of my merchandise, things like that. But enough of that. Let's get going on this bike. This bike is definitely a challenge to me. It certainly does stretch my boundaries. Alright, let's have a look here, see what's going on, if there's something going on. Well, I don't see any big pool of fluid. This does look a little bit wet up here. I did put it on my GS911 tool. It's showing that it's an implausible pressure in the front circuit. And as I was coming over here, I noticed that there is brake fluid right here all over the paint. Hopefully it hasn't damaged the paint too much, but that looks like brake fluid right there. And I don't know if that's from the owner when he, filled this up and was messing around. Maybe he didn't cover this all up, but I'm just hoping that this thing isn't actually leaking. Like that's part of the problem. I'm gonna wipe all this down though real quick and just use a little mild soap and water here to make a clean spot on this bike. Yeah, it did damage the paint a little bit. You might not be able to see it in the video, but I can see it's kind of a little bit bubbled up right in here. Definitely jacked up further down we go. Man, brake fluid is no good for paint, that's for sure. Yeah, there's some brake fluid around the top. There's a little bit on the top too. So maybe the guy just didn't cover it up real good when he was filling it up. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of brake fluid up here to the top, and then give this thing some pump action and just see where the problem is really coming out. There's actually still a little bit of brake fluid in here. Looks like there's a lot of I don't know if it's water got ingested in here. It's a lot of contamination, that's just for sure. Not really sure where all the issue is, but there's like a lot of sediment or something that's inside this reservoir that shouldn't be there. I'm going to mess around a little bit more with this and I will get back to you here. I'm going to try to fill this up and maybe give it a quick bleed just to see if I can get any pressure and actually find where exactly this leak is coming from. Okay, after doing the diagnosis on this thing, after bleeding out the brakes and getting, just so I could see where the leak is, I did find the leak. It is, bring that in, you can kind of see it right down there. Let me get a little pointer. Right on that hose right there. So just past that little connection, you see that little split line right there. If I pump the brakes, you'll probably see it get wet. There it is. So I have to change out that brake line before I do any other determinations. I don't think that there's a problem with the ABS. If there is, I'll know it after I change that line, but that line is a three-way line. You can see it branches off. There's two connections on the top there. Whoop. There we go. You can see the two connections are, three connections actually, are in that junction block. So that is going to get swapped out. So what did happen was that brake line was in fact broken up there. As we saw in a little bit earlier in this video, we saw the leak that was going on. And here is the original brake line right here. Okay, this is the part that goes up to the ABS unit. And then these are the parts that go down to the calipers. And basically, with the turning of the handlebars, this part just sits and flexes quite a bit. And that is exactly where it broke right here. So, anyway. What I did was I contacted the great company Spiegler, and we were able to develop a brake line set for the K1600s. So if you are ever in a spot where you need a K1600 brake line set, well, you can either contact me, or you probably could contact Spiegler directly and talk to them about getting the brake line set that I helped develop. It really pretty much mimics the full setup here. The only differences being these connectors. Okay, so these junction blocks here are probably, BMW specific, especially with this thinner mounting bolt place. And what I had to do was I had to use, because theirs is as thick as this, just had to use a longer bolt to get into over here. And the same goes for over here. This was a thicker block on this part here, this little tab, so I had to use the bolt that came out of here in the spot that's right up here behind the paralever connection point. So anyway, by the time you watch this video, they'll probably have a part number for it. And you can, of course, if you get them through me, you will help me out a little bit, but if you choose to go with just getting them directly from them, I'm sure they can help you be able to get this brake line set and get it working again. You will definitely need to have access to a GS911 tool or a computer of some kind that will help you do the brake flush, because what happens when you drain out this whole system and you have a break in your line, there's a very high chance that you're going to ingest some air into the ABS pump itself, which is located right about here on the bike. And when that happens, it's really, really difficult to get out, if not impossible, without running the electronics to run that pump and purge that air out of the system. So guys, I hope you got something out of this one. I did. I said it before, I love this bike. It's just beat to death, but I love it because, well, it's always teaching me new things, and this one I had to change out the brake lines and just go from there. So anyway, thanks so much for watching this one. Hope you got something out of it, and I will see you on the next one.